Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Horror Lives Here podcast. I'm Aaron Wojciechowski and joined today by Mr. Jason Pitts. How you doing, Jason?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Doing good, doing good.
Awesome. Thank
So,
you for having me on.
oh man, thank you for coming on. I've been wanting to set this up since I started the show. You're probably one of the main reasons I started this show because
Oh,
I'm a huge fan of both your movies,
thank
and
you.
and I can't wait till Voorhees comes out. I'm already, Jason versus Bigfoot. We'll definitely have to talk about that before we get off the air. But
Yeah, absolutely.
let's start talking a little bit about you. Like, how did you get into film?
Um, just watching all the horror films throughout the '80s, growing up, going to the movie theater. I grew up in Southern California, and they had at the time they had drive-in theaters everywhere. So we'd go to the drive-in theaters and watch double features, and they'd always be horror films. So just growing up on those and just falling in love with them, and just being blown away by the special effects and the storylines and the creativity that goes into filmmaking. And I just knew that that's what I wanted to do.
Cool, cool. So when you obviously at some point when you moved to Arkansas, I first got to know you, or I knew your name from a little wrestling company you were involved with for a while. You talk about how you got involved in that?
Sure. So my wife and I moved back to Arkansas in about 2008 from Texas, and I had just gotten my film degree from the University of North Texas. And when we moved here, I was looking for opportunities in film and stuff, and I cannot remember where it was. I think it might have been in Craigslist, but there was an ad for a cameraman, and I responded to it. And Matt Riviera, who's that's his wrestling name, but he is now Matt Duffield. That's his regular name. But he was the owner and operator of TCW, and he hired me, and I started off just being a camera guy at the on the floor by the ring, and just kind of worked my way up from there. By the end of it, I was head of creative and a producer. We produced a lot of the commercials that you saw for TCW. I wrote them and shot them, and it was a blast. It was probably about 4 years altogether, um, and we were on TV across the world in all kinds of countries, and but it was a lot of fun. Met a lot of people. I got to work with Matt Hardy and Hacksaw Jim Duggan a lot. Doink the Clown. A lot of the big names. So met a lot of good people on the road. A lot of good friends. One of the my partner, other camera guy, Kenny. He actually came on and helped with Masquerade. So a lot of those connections are still around and helping with the film stuff.
Man, that's awesome. I diehard wrestling fan, have been since I was probably 5 years old.
Yeah.
And I saw a little company, like, because I live here, I live in Russellville or near Russellville. So
Mhm.
at the time I was actually living in Russellville, and all of a sudden there's billboards up for Russellville, like a company based out of Russellville, Arkansas. I wasn't necessarily doing shows there, but based out of Russellville. And I'm freaking, and then when I saw guys like DDP and Matt Hardy and Hacksaw Doug and all these guys coming through, I'm like, holy crap, this is cool. And then, like you said, they're still showing it now. I don't know if you know
I
that, but
know.
on
Yeah.
KARZ every Saturday night they still show it. So
Still show the reruns. Crazy. Yeah, we had a lot of fun doing that. I thought we came up with some pretty interesting and exciting storylines. Developed some really cool characters, and yeah, it was a blast.
my favorite thing was the Bradford family. I love
Yeah,
the character of Boyd Bradford. He was just hilarious to me.
yeah,
Um,
he's a great character.
so your first film was Alone, and it did really well in the festival markets and such. It's not available on YouTube anymore, right? It's on
No,
Plex now.
yeah, yeah. I took it off of YouTube because it's on Plex, and if you go and watch it on Plex, I don't know exactly how much money I get each view, or if it's a view basis or what, but that's the right now that's the best way to support us is just go watch Alone on Plex, and we get some revenue from that. Um, it was first available on Plex early March, like I guess I think it was like the second week of March, and they send out estimates and stuff. And right now, it's estimated to have made about $100 already, so that's pretty good.
Awesome. Yeah.
One channel, one film, and I'm trying to get Masquerade on there. And Alone got picked up by Tubi, which is huge. So who knows? Who knows how much revenue that'll generate when it's on Tubi, and having multiple films on multiple platforms. Hopefully, these films will start being able to fund themselves. That's the goal.
Sounds great. Yeah. So go watch Alone. If anybody, those of you that see this, go watch it. It's a great movie. How did you come up with the idea, and where did you come up? Where did you find the actors?
Yeah. So the idea, back when I first moved back to Arkansas, like I said before, when we were talking about TCW, I was looking for opportunities and stuff. And there's a lady up in Northwest Arkansas. Her name's Kim Peace, and at the time she was having like filmmaking get-togethers like every once a month, where just different filmmakers could come and just network and talk and stuff like that. And I went to one of those. I went to a couple of them actually, but one of them in particular, I met a guy named John Baker, and John, I think he has moved to Florida since this time, but he did a lot of music videos, shot a lot of music videos, and he taught himself how to do lighting, and he did a couple little things. He went down to a bar and just recorded some people in the bar, and it looked amazing. But he wanted to do something that was more narrative, like he wanted to do a short film, wanted to direct. And at the time, I was really wanting to just be a writer. Like I wanted to write, and that was pretty much it. Write screenplays. And so I told him, I was like, I will write you something if you want to shoot it. And this was back in like maybe 2009, like a long time ago. And so we met one night at an IHOP, and we just got to talking and developing the story. He wanted something that would be easy to shoot, just a couple characters, kind of a simple idea, and a really cool twist. And we came up with the idea of Patty. Originally, it was a demon who was like picked up a hitchhiker. And well, the guy who picked up the hitchhiker was a serial killer, and then the twist was that the girl that he picked up was a demon and ate him. So, but that's how it started, and it just kind of eventually turned into the basic plot that you see in Alone. And some time went by, and he didn't shoot it. And a year went by, 2 years, and I was like, "Hey, are you ever going to shoot this?" And he's like, "No, probably not. I'm happy doing what I'm doing." And then time went on, and then I decided that I wanted to get back into film and make my own stuff. And Alone had just been sitting there for years and years, and I thought it was too good not to make. So at this time that I decided to get back into film, I had met some other actors down in Birmingham on another shoot. One of them is Samantha Shaw. And when I met her, it was like meeting Kat. Like she walked right off the page. I was like, "Holy crap, you're Kat!" And I asked her if she wanted. I was like, "Hey, I got this short film back home in Arkansas," and she, it turns out that a lot of these people were from Arkansas that I was meeting as well on the shoot in Birmingham, which is pretty amazing. But she's like, "Yeah, man, yeah, I'll do it." So I sent her the script, and she read it, and she loved it. And then once I had her cast, I put out a casting call for the role of Patty, and I had a couple people answer the call and send me audition tapes. And Marilyn Knapp was the one I liked the best. She just knocked it out of the park, and so I cast her. And then Clayton Bowman, who played Brock, I went to high school with him, and when I first moved back to Arkansas. I saw that he'd been acting. He did a film called Injury Slight, which is really good, and just a bunch of other little films. and then he started screenwriting. He wrote a script called Crowley's Ridge. They shot a teaser for it. I'm not sure if they ever got around to shooting the actual film, but really good actor. And I asked him, I was like, "Hey, would you like to be in my first movie back? I'd love to have you, since we, just kind of felt like a full circle moment for me, because I went to high school with him, and we went our separate ways, and he ended up acting. I ended up doing this, and then we came back together. So it was kind of cool." And he's like, "Yeah, I'll do it." So, and then we shot it. We shot it in the fall, September and October of 2020, during COVID. So, and then we released it in January of 2021, and all through 2021, it did its festival run, and it did really well. It was selected to like 39 festivals, I believe, and won 16 awards. Most of them were honorable mentions, but still counts. So yeah, Alone was a great experience. I think you might be Mike.
Yeah, I'm muted because my dog started barking. I didn't want them to interrupt you. So, um, so yeah, Alone was great. Clayton Bowman played a great jerk. I mean, I'm trying to watch my PG language here, but he played a great a-hole in that movie. And it was, the twist was great. I don't want to give it away, but I'm assuming by this point, anybody that's seen this anybody that's watching this has probably seen it. But
give it away.
Yeah, but it's you don't expect that from this sweet little old lady. So that was awesome. And where did it, like you said, it start? She started off as a demon. So where did the idea to switch her to just a little old lady come from?
We didn't. I felt like it was pretty cliche to do something like that, because it was like this female hitchhiker, and I don't know. I feel like I'd seen that quite a bit before, and we've seen crazy old ladies before too, but they're not as prevalent. And we wanted to use a character that just seemed innocent and like you would be safe with, and just something that completely disarmed you as the viewer and the character Cat. And that's what we came up with. Just a sweet old grandma lady. Everyone has a grandma. So, um, we talked about possibly having the hitchhiker be like a really young person, like 14 or something, and then it turns into a demon. And there was a film, I think it's called Legion, like about 10 or 15 years ago, about demons. And there's a scene in a restaurant where it starts off with this old lady drinking coffee, and it turns out that she's a demon, and she starts climbing up the walls and stuff. So that I started thinking, like, what have we seen with demons? And I went to that scene, and I was like, well, starts off with an old lady. I was like, well, why don't we just make her an old lady and then not be a demon, just be crazy? And I don't know. It's just a from there.
That works. Yeah. It works. Yeah. It was a great twist.
Yeah.
Hey, Amy Lynn, how you doing?
Hey, Amy. She was in Alone. She played Carol Ann's mom at the end in the post-credit scene. Amy Lynn
by the way, anybody that sees this, if you watch a Jason movie, you got to watch through the credits, because so far anyway, 2 movies, 2 post-credit scenes. So,
especially in the Alone saga, Voorhees. I guess it depends on how it ends up being edited. I had written a post-credit scene, but we ran out of time and didn't get to shoot it. But I may move another scene to the post-credits. But we'll see.
So the sequel, Masquerade, you and I talked about this before. I see a little bit of Devil's Rejects in Masquerade, mostly just because it's a completely different movie from Alone. Like it feels like it's in the same universe, but Devil's Rejects is in the same universe as House of 1,000 Corpses, but it just seems completely like a 180. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So I wanted to do each of these films in a different subgenre, and so that they would feel different, so that me and my team could use these films to showcase what we could do as artists, and so we can be like, look at this movie, look at this movie, look at this movie. They all feel different. They're different, um, and like this is what we can do, and then have the storylines run through them, so that they're kind of cohesive as well. And so that was the idea of doing it like that in different subgenres. And Masquerade is like the home invasion slasher film. Alone's like the psychological horror film, and Lonely Echoes is going to be like the investigative horror film type thing. But uh, Masquerade was another awesome experience. And did I answer the question, or did I just start
No, you did. Yeah, you did. You did. Yeah, I was just saying it seems like Devil's Rejects, and I think when I watched it, I messaged you and said there's a lot of baby in this character of
That's
the main character.
that's where I was going, and I forgot. I lost my train of thought. I was going to talk about the baby connection. So back in Birmingham, in the same conversation where I talked to Samantha about being in Alone and the character she wanted to play in Lonely Echoes. I also Olivia Disney was there as well, and we're talking to her, and she said that one of her dream roles is to play this just like batshit crazy character, and one of the people that she actually mentioned is Baby from The Devil's Rejects and House of a Thousand Corpses. So Baby was a huge inspiration on Sylvia. And then we from that conversation we just developed the character together, and Harley Quinn's another huge influence on that character.
So the idea of, in a way, I mean, I don't know if this is exactly how you you wanted it, but for me as a fan watching it, it just felt like there was no good guys in this movie. There was like you have the villain and Sylvia, and then you have a whole nother set of villains for her to go against. Was that kind of your idea, or did it just sort of
Was
come out that way?
it was have you ever seen Demon Knight?
Yeah, yeah.
So that concept of like no good guys kind of comes from Demon Knight, where I wanted to present um like this person that seemed like she was in trouble, and then have like a introduce an antagonist that was like stalking that person, or like, and then just like flip the table, like they did in Demon Knight, where Billy Zane's chasing William Sadler. No, it's the other way around. William Sandler's chasing Billy Zane, and the beginning of the film makes it seem like Billy Zane's the good guy, and trying to get away from William Sandler, who's like this. I mean, he just comes off at the beginning as this like ruthless hunter guy, and just chasing Billy Zane, and Billy Zane, and all of a sudden, just things just change, and Billy Zane's the bad guy, and William Sandler's the good guy, but not like a really good guy, right? He's not like but and nobody in Demon Knight is really a good guy. Like everyone has their own vices or whatever that they have to deal with. But so yeah, that was on purpose, and that kind of came from Demon Knight.
Cool. The special effects or gore, or the blood and gore in Masquerade was really well done. Who does your special effects makeup and things like that?
For Masquerade, the special effects was done by Chuck Meir. He's a filmmaker from Fayetteville. He also obviously does special effects. He does a lot of acting. Really talented person. He does a lot of different things in the film world. He also has a YouTube channel called Zombie Go Boom that's pretty popular, and these guys, it's an awesome channel. They get these mannequin heads and like zombie heads and fill them with blood, and then like test weapons on them, and just like stuff. Just
That sounds pretty cool.
yeah, it's a really cool. It's a lot of fun. I spent a lot of hours watching them. Yeah. So Chuck Meir, and he also had he had an assistant named Kay Rascon, who is another very talented person here in Fort Smith. She's a writer. She's getting ready to direct her first short film. and also obviously does special effects as well.
So for anybody wanting to watch Masquerade, since it's not available right now, how can they do that?
The best way is to go to the Indiegogo campaign for Lonely Echoes and buy the $5 perk. That is the link to Masquerade. I will send you a private link to where you can watch Masquerade. Right
And
now,
I
that's
would
the
look
only, right now that's the only way
at,
to watch it. Other than you can buy a DVD for $10 and I can mail it to you for an extra $3, so like $13. I can mail you a DVD. Those are the only two ways to watch it right now, unless you happen to be at one of the film festivals that it's in.
and I would highly suggest it. Like I said, it's both
Yeah.
those movies are a lot of fun. So, and really, well, I don't know if I'd call Alone fun. It was a really good movie. I don't know. It was really, I think Masquerade was a really fun movie though, because I've always been a slasher fan myself. So watching a
Mhm.
slasher movie, I found that fun.
There's
But
something about in the slasher genre. There's something about an iconic villain that people, for some reason, it happens more in slashers than any other one, but people just really connect with these slashers for some reason. I mean, I have too. I love Freddy. I love Jason. Um, I think it says a lot about the society psychology in general that we just we connect and relate to these slashers for some reason, and it makes these films fun to watch. But that was the goal in Sylvia. We wanted to create, like, if I feel like we did a good enough job with the character and the story, that if we had the backing of a major studio and the funding of a major studio and were able to make a feature out of this, Sylvia would have been a new horror icon, like, no doubt in my mind.
I think so too, especially if Olivia Disney's playing her,
Yeah.
because she's phenomenal. Yeah, and I'm not way too with slashers. I'm like I was my fifth birthday. I had a life size Freddy Krueger cardboard cutout for my birthday party at 5 years old. Maybe it's not a good sign for my parents. I love my parents, but they didn't care. They were like, you're a good kid. They trusted me enough to let me watch it. So for when I walked in for my fifth birthday party, Nightmare 5 was coming out. So it was '89. Nightmare 5 had just come out, and they were just life size stand up of Freddy in this like black pram, like baby carriage thing, because it was a dream child. And it was like the coolest birthday present I ever had in my life. So I've been addicted to horror since then.
Oh, that's awesome.
I wish I could. I wish I hadn't lost it, but we during the move we lost it somewhere. So anyway, but
I have
speaking of horror, go ahead. Go ahead.
This is my prized possession here. This is a Nightmare glove,
Oh, that's awesome.
autographed by it's for Jason, autographed by Robert England.
Wow.
And then each
Yeah,
blade, each side of each blade is autographed by a different person throughout the series. That one that you see there is Heather Lincoln-Camp, played Nancy. This one is Andrew Jones, played Rick in Nightmare 4. And yeah, anyway, Mark Patton there. Lisa Myers there. Lisa
that is
Wilcox.
awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
Every single blade.
That beats the heck out of mine. I have a Nightmare 4 poster that I got one year, and we went to Texas Frightmare in like 2016 or 17, and they were all there, and but I ended up only getting, I think I got Lisa Wilcox. I tried to get Robert Englund, but the line was just so long. I wasted an
He's
entire
there.
day.
He's there this year. They're doing a part 3 reunion.
I may have to try to go again because I regret not meeting him, but I just didn't want to waste my one day standing in line the entire day. So I went around and got Lisa Wilcox. I got Brooke Thies, who is who's Debbie from Part 4, and I got Tuesday Night. So I got quite a few of them to sign it. It's just, I didn't get to meet Robert. That's the one regret I had.
Yeah, yeah. You can go back. He'll be there this year.
But speaking of slashers, so we're going to kind of segue into Jason because you got. I'm becoming addicted to fan films. They're all over YouTube. I've watched a ton of fan films over the past like probably year or so. But this Voorhees Night of the Beast sounds like the most original original one ever. Bigfoot versus Jason. Where'd that
Yeah.
idea come up?
When I decided I wanted to do this, I sent out a post on Real Arkansas. I was like, "Hey, I want to do a Jason fan film. Anyone out there interested in helping?" And one of the people who responded was Jason Mansfield, and he's like, "Yeah, man, I'd love to help. I love Jason." And I was like, "Okay." So we started talking, and I was just kind of researching him as a person and just looking over his Facebook and like just what he's into and what he does. And he's really into like the paranormal stuff, aliens and Bigfoot. He goes to a lot of the conventions in the area, and I was just looking at just picture of Bigfoot after Bigfoot, just seeing all the films and stuff that he's been involved in, and I was like, "Why not?" Like it just hit me. I was like, "Why don't we do a Jason versus Bigfoot thing? Like you're a Bigfoot expert, I'm a Jason expert. Let's do it." And I pitched it to him, and he loved the idea. So that's where it came from.
And one of my favorite characters, admittingly, I'm not a huge fan of Jason Goes to Hell, but one of the things I did really like about it was Creighton Duke. Though
Mhm.
that character was awesome. And so you're doing a young Creighton Duke in this movie.
Absolutely, yeah. Played by C.J. Bernard, absolutely amazing actor who was also in Masquerade. Um, he played Anton in Masquerade. Um, yeah, I just one of my favorite things about Jason Goes to Hell was the Creighton Duke character. And in the film, if you watch it, it's very evident that he had some kind of previous encounter with Jason. They never explain it in the film. He knows more about Jason than anybody in the entire franchise. And so I started asking myself, well, why? Why does he know so much about Jason? What happened with his previous encounter with Jason? He handcuffs Jason to himself, and Jason turns and looks, and he's like, "Remember me, mother ever?" And that's all we get. We don't know anything about their previous encounter. So Um, one of the goals in this film was to explain that, flesh that out a little bit, show uh, Creighton's previous encounter with Jason, explain why he knows so much about Jason, um, and uh, and so it's kind of like an origin story for Creighton Duke.
And from some of your other interviews, I'm not going to say who, you can say who. I'll let you break this one, but there's another Friday the 13th character in this movie, too.
Yep. So in part six, it's the only installment where there's kids at the camp. Um, other than Corey Feldman in part four, who just happens to be there with his family. But there's a whole bunch of kids at the camp in part six. And while Jason's running around slaughtering all these counselors, there's two boys that hide under a bed. Like they all hide under the beds, but there's the film focuses on these two boys under one bed, and they're just talking to each other about how they're screwed. Basically, we're dead meat and stuff like that. Well, I thought it'd be interesting to do something with one of those characters. So one of the characters in Voorhees Night of the Beast is one of those kids grown up as a young adult, early 20s, just dealing with the post traumatic stress from that experience of his counselors being massacred by Jason.
So is this movie set in any specific time? I
Yeah,
mean,
it takes place between Jason Takes Manhattan and Jason Goes to Hell.
okay, gotcha. Yeah, I can't. When is the movie going to be released for people to watch it?
That is an unknown right now. We were we were on track to release it on YouTube on May 13th, Friday, May 13th. But unfortunately, a few weeks ago, our editor and partner Jason Mansfield that I mentioned earlier had a medical emergency and suffered a stroke and a brain bleed, and so things are on hold right now until we figure out what we're going to do with that.
Gotcha. Get well, Jason. I sent him
Absolutely.
a little get well message and things like that too. So, um, You want to? Do you want to? One more thing to go through, I suppose. We can go through the Indiegogo campaign for anybody that wants to help out with Lonely Echoes. You want to give out that information?
Not much time left. Let me see how many days are left on it. Hold on. So it is still running. Just a few days left. I think it's like less than 6 or something. Hold on. Yeah, exactly. It's 6. There's 6 days left on it. So if you're gonna get you a perk, do it pretty quick. Um, Lonely Echoes. We made a decision at the beginning of this campaign that we weren't going to move into production until we had the funding that we needed, and the funding that we need is 20,000. And through the ticket sales of Masquerade and selling the DVDs, Masquerade raised about 1,000. Most of that is already spent on special effects for Lonely Echoes, and then the campaign right now is at 1,700. So altogether we have about 2,700. So we got a long way to go. I obviously don't expect to get that in 6 days. But what we are going to do is when this campaign ends, we're going to start another one. And we're just going to keep it going until we get what we need.
So if you're out there, and you see this, come on. I mean, I understand a lot of people are having money issues right now. Don't get me wrong, I get it too. But
Gas prices are through the roof. But at the
yeah,
same time, I see other campaigns that like go live for a day and raise like $30,000. So
exactly. So I mean, come on. If not, just share it. Even if you can't do it, just share it and get it out there. Um, Jason, thank you so much for coming on. This has been awesome. I'm, like
absolutely,
I
man.
said,
And
huge fan of yours.
I've been watching your shows. I love your interviews with the local filmmakers.
Thank
Interview
you,
with let's see, who all have you done? There's been two of them, right?
Stacy. Yeah,
Stacy, yeah,
Stacy
the interview with Stacy
Meisenheimer
was really good. I
and
love
Matt
his.
Spees.
Who was it?
Matt Spees
Matt
from
Spees.
Cabot.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, I love Stacy. His stuff is really good, and you can tell that dude is passionate because he's really a student of the craft. I was watching his interview with you, and like his approach to filmmaking is unique. Like there's a technique like he sees, right? He sees in a movie. Oh yeah, it'd be cool to do that, and then he researches it how to do it, and then builds a short film around doing that technique, which is really cool. It's a great way to learn filmmaking, and so yeah, and Matt, I haven't personally met either of them yet. I'm looking forward to. Um, Matt is one of the most prolific filmmakers in Arkansas. I know, man, he just cranks these things out constantly,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is, I mean, my hat's off to him to just constantly cranking them out and just one after another, after another, after another. It's very impressive. So, kudos to both you guys out there if you're watching this.
They both mean a lot to me so far. I mean, I have not met Stacy personally yet, but he gave me a part in Arkansas Psycho, and Matt's given me a part in one of his movies. So the only two things I've done on film was because of those two guys. So I really appreciate both of them. So
Yeah, and a
um,
lot of the people I know got into the Arkansas filmmaking scene by working on those two guys' projects. So
man, this has been awesome. Thank you, Jason. And I hope everything goes well. I hope Jason Mansfield gets better.
me too.
Um, can't can't wait to see what you got coming up next. So thank you for coming on, man.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next time. Next Saturday night, Amy Lynn Woodall will be here with me 6 o'clock on the Horror Lives Here podcast.